My name is Mike Foster, the Entrepreneur's Mentor, and welcome to my interview series, A Zoom With. I regularly share my thoughts via my video snippets on my YouTube channel, but this series of interviews is to introduce you to trusted experts in their field with a view of them sharing some thoughts or maybe some tips. And today I'm joined by Josh Cox of Prystine Web Solutions, a web designer, developer. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you, Mike, for having me. Yeah, thank you very much.
Pleasure. I've got a few questions for you, about a handful of questions. It'd be great to hear your thoughts, to share with those watching this back, their thoughts and your thoughts and tips. So the first thing really is just to ask you to introduce yourself and your business, if you may.
Yeah, absolutely fine. So yeah, as you said, my name's Josh from Prystine Web Solutions. I'm a web designer and developer here. The company's been going about sort of 2.5, 3 years, mainly just based down on Milton Park at the Innovation Centre there. I work with clients across Oxfordshire and Berkshire, mainly just to meet them face to face and understand their projects, which is why the Oxfordshire and Berkshire locality. But yeah, we work with a number of businesses in a number of different sectors.
Thanks, Josh. So obviously at the moment we're in lockdown, hence why we're working from home at the moment. But how are you and your customers finding the current business climate?
So at the start of the outbreak, I sent an email around to all my hosted clients about offering them a free sort of pop-up or a free notice on their website, just to let their customers know that whether they're still trading, whether they've closed down, whether they've amended their trading to take it to deliveries or online, whatever it would be. And I was actually quite happy the response was quite nice to hear that a lot of customers were still trading as usual. So I work with quite a lot of sort of independent and smaller businesses that are perhaps sort of essential businesses or could do their work online. There were a few, unfortunately, that had to close shops and working in the events industry. But largely the majority have either turned their businesses to online means or are just trading as normal, which was really nice to hear. So I've been keeping busy, to be honest. Obviously just working from home now, not going into the office at all. So yep. This is my setup.
Yes, we're all like, I say lockdown, working from home, finding that place at home to work from, isn't it? And great to hear that you're busy, and great to hear that your customers are surviving, as we say, through this lockdown, which is great. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, I guess, around the business. And I know you've got 3 areas of your business, which is obviously the core web design, but you've also got a great hosted service and your maintenance. And my first question really is why is website maintenance so important?
So website maintenance is important for 3 reasons. I mean, the most important reason is the security aspect. So software releases are largely brought about to combat the latest hacking trends, the security flaws, and essentially just keep malicious software and attackers away. So keeping your website up to date is vital, that you keep your website obviously protected, and also that any of your client data, if you have got any on your website, secure. And it's that sort of peace of mind that you can give to your clients that you're looking after their data professionally and in a secure manner. The second reason is obviously the improved functionality. So as technology changes rapidly, so do features, so do lots of other aspects. But keeping your website updated obviously brings your website in line with the latest features on offer, the latest sort of performance, if you like. So as obviously code develops as well, you've got the speed that increases as well as the security off the back of that. The third reason, and again, this is probably quite important as well, which is, and it's kind of a sort of piggybacks off of the last point, but that it stops your website from breaking. So, I mean, typically, if you've got say a WordPress website, a Joomla website, a Drupal website, whatever it may be, if you haven't updated it in say 2 to 3 years, you'd probably expect that certain aspects of it certainly would be falling to the wayside, would be breaking, would be incompatible with the latest browser versions or the latest code releases, HTML5, CSS3, latest versions of PHP, whatever it would be. So keeping your website up to date obviously helps protect your website from breaking. So keeps your website running at optimal speeds, optimum security, and with minimal downtime. And that kind of, that really sums it up, and it's why it's so important for content management systems to have that maintenance in place.
I agree, and I feel quite competent when I'm using my website in terms of making some amendments, and obviously the user functionality now is a lot friendlier than it used to be. But the thing that scares me stiff is those plugins and hitting those update your plugins. So I'm glad that I have some maintenance that someone else can do that for me.
Well, you're absolutely right, and the actual part of updating the plugins is, say, 9 times out of 10 is relatively straightforward. It's that 1 time out of 10 that perhaps it doesn't update correctly and causes a discrepancy on the server, or it doesn't update and perhaps you have to look at reloading a previous backup. You know, it's that sort of time there where maintenance, obviously contracting to a professional, where really it sort of pays off. So absolutely.
Totally agree. So I'm going to ask you really around the design now. So what is classed as a good web design?
So how, just to sort of put it into context, how we start with all of our clients is actually just determining what the purpose of a website is. And once you find out the purpose of a website, you can then really plan how you want to lay out the website, what content you want to include, who your target market is. And the purpose of the website could be anything from, you know, increasing or improving the credibility of a business or organization. It could be online sales, if you're looking to actually just sell your products directly online. If you're looking to generate leads, or perhaps you have got a solution that you really do need a web app for because people need to interact with it all around the globe and they need a platform to do so. But until you know the purpose of the website, it's very difficult to then find out how the website should flow, how you need to speak to the users of the website. So that really is the key point there. The second sort of important bit that constitutes to good design is that it obviously reflects your brand. Now, your brand would obviously speak to your customers, reflect the core values of the business. So a website to follow your brand is very key in getting that message across. And also it just looks tidy if it's following a similar fonts from your logo, say, or similar color schemes that your company has. It just sort of tidies it all up. Another key point, obviously, is working well on all devices. So most websites will see between sort of 60 to 85% of their traffic coming through a mobile or tablet. Now, this does depend on your demographic, your target audience, but that's sort of on average 60 to sort of 85%. So with that, you obviously need your website to work on a mobile phone and tablet and have incredible sort of load speeds, which I guess we'll come on to in a minute about the hosting side, but you need to have that sort of that accessibility of all devices.
Interesting. I know, yeah, a shout out for you really from me is that you did my website recently. We've obviously just recently launched that, which was fantastic. And it was that whole, for me, it was that whole process of you understanding my business and putting that, establishing what my brief was really clearly. And I felt that, you know, obviously then the build process really sort of flowed from there. And I didn't really have to get too much involved after that, apart from obviously when we went through drafts, etc., because you had such a clarity around what you wanted to establish as information from me to create that ideal brief, which was, yeah, spot on. So big shout out thanks very much for helping me with my website. No,
you're a pleasure to work with. It was a great project. Yeah.
So please do check out my website, www.entrepreneursmentor.co.uk, and have a look at the great work that Josh has done for me. So another question then, Josh, is that I know that you mentioned earlier some platforms that you could build your website on, and you use and choose to use WordPress for your development. Tell me a little bit more why that's your preferred choice.
So even if you're not techie, I mean, most people would have heard of WordPress. And the reason is because it's the most popular open source content management system, or CMS. With approximately about 1/3 of websites built nowadays are done so with WordPress. I mean, the reason why it's so popular is largely its user-friendly interface, so that when a website's built and it's set up, anyone can just go in, make changes, add, say, blog posts, add projects, whatever it would be. And there's so many sort of, say, drag and drop builders, if you like, that make that job of editing websites even easier for say, standard users. The bit why developers like it is because it's highly customizable. So you can customize virtually all aspects of WordPress, but you've still got the powerful core software to manage things like post creation, user management, and various other aspects that sort of most sites would want. And sort of following from that, if it's something that perhaps a developer can't then sort of code themselves, or say not code themselves, but if they want to look to save time or consolidate services, then there are literally thousands of plugins available that do various functions. I mean, choosing a plugins is quite a hot topic. I mean, you'd want to go for something that's highly sort of reputable, reviewed, tried and tested. But there are plenty out there that will save you a lot of time and a lot of effort rather than sort of coding from scratch. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the nooks and cranny of it. Essentially, I can just see WordPress, to be fair, just increasing in popularity. It connects seamlessly with lots and lots of other sort of websites and apps. And actually, quite a recent feature of WordPress is turning your website into an app. They're still sort of, it's largely in its infancy, but that I'm sure will probably take off in the next few months or years to come. And there's not a huge amount more that you need to do with your website to turn it into an app. But yeah, certainly that will be something for the future.
Watch this space on that one then, because that'll certainly be something I'll be interested to explore with you. And certainly from a user perspective, I find WordPress, really, really easy to use. It feels like a standard word editor in terms of changing your copy on your website. Obviously, anything complex, I get you to do that to fix shapes and all that sort of stuff. But in terms of just changing copy or tweaking things, that I always recommend my clients do, tweak a few words here and there and test different things. It's a really easier platform. So yeah, it really works for me. And my last question is, you're right around hosting, and you offer an eco-hosting option. Again, tell me a bit more about that.
So yeah, the hosting that we offer is what I would class environmentally friendly. So we use a UK-based data center up in Derbyshire. Now, what they do is they plant trees to offset the carbon emissions that the servers produce. I mean, servers are, for all their great wonders in connecting, obviously allowing people to connect to each other on via the internet and host websites and various other platforms, they are very sort of resource intense. They're plugged into a wall, plugged into the mains 24/7 with huge sort of bandwidth going in and out. They require a lot of energy to keep going. So the company that I use, that I chose to essentially host my clients with, the data center, they employ eco-friendly technology. So the servers are very sort of up-to-date, modern, and do use a lower proportion compared to sort of older servers. And as I said, the main sort of the key point here is that they do plant trees to offset those emissions. The other things that I run as well is pretty much a virtually paperless organization. So anything that I do to my clients, so sending proposals, quotes, whatever it would be, is all done online through obviously online PDFs and bits and pieces like that. And I encourage things like e-signing and bits and pieces like that. Yeah, so we're all trying to do our bit for the environment, but that's the eco-friendly side of it. I mean, as well as being a UK-based data center, my clients have got that knowledge that, it's not just stuck on some server in the Philippines. It's in a UK-based data center, and I can actually tell you the exact address and the location of the server if people want. But there's that peace of mind that it's not just managed God knows where in the world. I mean, it's SSD storage servers as standard as well, which is the fastest type of storage. it's really quite a nice spec of hosting that we offer for a very reasonable price, alongside the web support as well that that my company offers. It's a nice all round package, and obviously the package is scalable and tailored to suit.
Yeah, no, and it was really interesting to talk to you about that sort of seamless experience or paperless experience, because it enabled us just to carry on working during lockdown, whereby we could easily communicate, whether it was through Zoom or telephone, or any paperwork was seamlessly sent across. So yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you, Josh. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing some thoughts with us. Much appreciated.
Oh, well, but thank you very much for having me, Mike. It's been a lovely Good Friday. Yeah, off to a good start for the weekend. Thank you.
And I would recommend that you have a conversation with Josh. Certainly, if you're looking for an all-in-one web solution, which Josh offers, may surprise you with some of his pricing opportunities as well, with minimal upfront costs. But I'll let Josh tell you about that when you have a word with him. Obviously, he's was chosen to do my website. Hopefully, by you looking at my website, you will love what he's done for me, and I encourage you to have that conversation with him. So please do subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then you'll get notified each time I publish one of these new interviews. So I'll see you next time for a Zoom with whoever's next.